Gary Boyson, Director and Portfolio Manager at Rand Swiss, joining us this evening to unpack those movements. Gary, another positive day on the local bourse today with some broad-based gains. The Rand impressively trading at around 18 Rand 17 against the US dollar. And I suppose one of the big story is that inflation in the US, which seems to be easing somewhat.
Yeah, the inflation figure coming in lower than expected, which is what everyone was hoping for. If inflation is under control and if the tough cuts, or at least the tough moves that the Fed has made, hiking interest rates over the past year or so, is feeding into the system, that's good news. It's been good news for equity markets. As you can see, our market, finishing well up above 2%. We've got the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq each gaining just under 1% each. And things are looking positive. The expectation was for inflation to moderate, the headline number to 3.1%. We had 3%, so that's down from 4%. So if you look at the real, as in the after inflation interest rate in the US, that is now fairly positive. And this is good. This is very, very good. It heralds looser monetary policy going forward. Although, if you look at Fed funds futures, which are an indication of what's going to happen, when the Fed meets on the 26th of July, very little movement there. So there's still about a 92% chance, according to the market, that we are going to see another 25 basis points, so 0.25% hike. But from there, things get very interesting. Is it going to be higher for longer, or are we going to start to see cuts towards the end of the year or potentially early next year? If we do get cuts, I think that's going to be very, very positive for investment markets, very positive for obviously emerging markets as well. So you can see the reaction in our currency, and that's just really on the back of the dollar starting to weaken.
Would it get interesting for our central bank, Gary? Because I listened to you with a big smile on my face, thinking perhaps this will trickle down to emerging market or emerging economy central banks for them to start to loosen up the monetary policy. But I don't know. What do you think?
We can only hope so. So, when you look at central bank policy, inevitably it is fairly linked across the globe. So we know that Jerome Powell is very focused on those core figures as well. He's not looking at ex-housing. And if you look at the core inflation figure in the US, core inflation coming in at 4.8, it was also a beat on expectations of 5%, but down from 5.3%, so moving in the right direction. Of course, as the differential between US interest rates and South African interest rates widens, it does give the South African Reserve Bank a little bit more breathing room and the ability to ease, specifically because a stronger currency will import less inflation, so their inflation outlook should be more benign. So yes, good news all around, and hopefully in the next couple of months to year, we might see a little bit of relief on bond statements and for people that are in debt.
Yeah, no, goodness knows we need some breathing room. Gary, let's get on to some company updates. And we begin with Sasol. Double whammy for them. They are getting the whip cracked on them because of the gas prices that they have been increasing for over a decade at astronomical levels. And then also not being able to bypass carbon emission rules in Secunda. What did you think of the news coming out of Sasol and some of the challenges that they're facing? Did it have a major impact on their share price today?
No, not a major impact on the share price. So Sasol still finished up, around 1.8%, and I think that's also on the back of the slightly firmer oil price. So Brent crude oil closing in on $80 a barrel again. Maybe a little bit of shine taken off by the stronger currency, but the market largely shrugging it off. So while the issue around air quality and the decision there around the Secunda boiler, specifically relating to sulfur dioxide, is important, you have to remember that Sasol spent around 7 billion rand over the last 5 years and is at a 98% compliance. But yes, absolutely, this is we call it an externality in economics. So market dynamics cannot account for things like environmental impact. So it's good to see an organization like Just Sure keeping our corporates in line to an extent. I think it might not be the end of the decision, and then of course we've got the second half of the double whammy, which is the decision by the Competition Commission to refer it to the Competitional Tribunal of markups of around 72% on piped natural gas. This is essentially a complaint by Goli Gas, Spring Lights Gas, and the Industrial Gas Users Association. It's an interesting complaint because, yes, it does look like the prices were pushed onto the end consumer, making the end consumer's gas consumption more expensive. But at the same time, Sasol is appealing the decision as well and just questioning whether the Competition Commission and the Competition Tribunal have authority here, because gas prices are essentially regulated through the Gas Act and controlled by NERSA. So, when you've got gas prices already controlled, what the authority of the Competition Commission to point to Sasol as the culprit is interesting, but we'll see how that plays out in time.
No, we will indeed. I was hoping we'd get to speak about Threads, which looks like it's going from strength to strength, Gary, but I suppose we'll catch up on that another time. That is Gary Boyson, Director and Portfolio Manager at Rand Swiss, bringing us the day's performance on the JSE. And we'll be back in the next bulletin speaking about the truck attacks that have been happening and, of course, what the agriculture is calling for here, more police on the ground to manage the major routes.